Krishna 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 Hare Krishna. Om Vishwapat Paramahansa Parivrajata Rasi Samadabhaya Chanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Dham Acharya Srila Das Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Basari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Sri Radha Madhava Govindanath Shyamakund Radhakan Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Simthura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Gangamai Jamunamai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sanghaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Krishna Book Ki Jai. Janitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled viewers. All glory to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga. Hare Krishna, continuing reading Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Book, summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder of Charity International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We reading from chapter 14, entitled Prayers Offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're halfway through this chapter. Krishna, Lord Brahma played a trick on Lord Krishna, and Krishna played a trick on Lord Brahma, and Brahma was completely dumbfounded at the display of opulence of Lord Krishna's. His opulence, Brahma's opulence was said to be like a firefly in the daytime. It's so diminished by Krishna's display of his opulences. So then Brahma offers long prayers. He will continue. Brahma is praying to Krishna. In the Upanishads it is stated that the Supreme Brahman is as effulgent as the sun and is the origin of everything. And anyone who can understand that original person becomes liberated from the material conditioned life. Anyone who can simply be attached to you by devotional service can know your actual position, birth, appearance, disappearance, and activities, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, simply by understanding your constitutional position, appearance and disappearance. One can be immediately elevated to the spiritual kingdom after quitting his present body. Therefore, to cross over the ocean of material nations, an intelligent person takes shelter of your lotus feet and is easily transferred to the spiritual world. There are many so-called meditators who do not know that you are the Supreme Soul. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, you are the Supreme Soul present in everyone's heart. Therefore, there is no necessity of meditating on something beyond you. One who is always absorbed in meditation on your original form of Krishna easily crosses over the ocean of material nations. But persons who do not know that you are the Supreme Soul remain within this material world in spite of their so-called meditation. If, by the association of your devotees, a person comes to the knowledge that Lord Krishna is the original Super Soul, then it is possible for him to cross over the ocean of material ignorance. For instance, when a person mistakes a rope for a snake and is filled with fear, but as soon as he understands that the rope is not a snake, he is liberated from fear. If one understands you, therefore, through your personal teachings, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, or through the teachings of your pure devotee, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam and all other Vedic literatures, if one realizes that you are the ultimate goal of understanding, he need no more fear this material existence. So-called liberation and bondage have no meaning for a person who is already engaged in your devotional service, just as a rope is not fearful to a person who knows that it is not a snake. A devotee knows that this material world belongs to you, and therefore engages everything in your transcendental loving service. Thus, there is no bondage for him. For a person who is already situated in the sun planet, there is no question of the appearance or disappearance of the sun in the name of day or night. It is said that you, Krishna, are just like the sun, and that Maya is like darkness. So for those who always remain in your presence, by engaging in your service, there is no question of bondage or liberation. They are already liberated. On the other hand, persons who falsely think themselves to be liberated without taking shelter of your lotus feet fall down because their intelligence is not pure. If one therefore thinks that the Supersoul is something different from your personality, and thus searches out the Supersoul or the Supreme Brahman somewhere else in the forest or in the caves of the Himalayas, his condition is very lamentable. Your teachings in the Bhagavad Gita are that one should give up all other processes of self-realization and simply surrender unto you, for that is complete. Because you are the Supreme in every respect, those who are searching after the Brahman effulgence are also searching after you, and those who are searching after the Supersoul realization are also searching after you. You state in the Bhagavad Gita that you, yourself, by your partial representation as the Supersoul, have entered into this material cosmic manifestation. You are present in everyone's heart, and there is no need to search out the Supersoul anywhere else. If someone does so, he is simply in ignorance. One who is transcendental to such a position understands that you are unlimited. You are both within and without. Therefore, your presence is everywhere. Instead of searching for the Supersoul anywhere else, a devotee only concentrates his mind on you within. Actually, one who is liberated from the material concept of life can search for you, others cannot. The example of thinking the rope to be a snake is applicable only to those who are still in ignorance of you. Actually, when one mistakes a rope for a snake, the existence of the snake is only within the mind. The existence of Maya, similarly, is only within the mind. Maya is nothing but ignorance of your personality. When one forgets your personality, that is a conditioned state of Maya. Therefore, one who is fixed on you, both internally and externally, is not illusioned. One who has attained a little result of devotional service can understand your glories. Even one striving for Brahman realization or Paramatma realization cannot understand these features of your personality unless you bestow upon him the result of at least a slight bit of devotional service. One may be the spiritual master of many impersonalists, or he may go to the forest or to a mountain cave and meditate as a hermit for many, many years, but he cannot understand your glories without being favored by a slight degree of devotional service. Brahman realization or Paramatma realization are also not possible even after one searches for many, many years, unless one is touched by the wonderful effect of devotional service. Therefore, my dear Lord, I pray that I may be so fortunate in this life or in another, wherever I may take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. Wherever I may be, I pray that I may be engaged in your devotional service. I do not even care what form of life I get in the future, because I can see that even in the form of cows and calves or cowherd boys, the devotees are so fortunate to be always engaged in your transcendental loving service and association. Therefore, I wish to be one of them instead of such an exalted person as I am now, for I am full of ignorance. The gopis and the cows of Vrindavan are so fortunate. They have been able to supply their breast milk to you. Persons who are engaged in performing great sacrifices and offering many valuable goats in sacrifice cannot attain the perfection of understanding you. But simply by devotional service, these innocent village women and cows are all able to satisfy you with their milk. You have drunk their milk to satisfaction, yet you are never satisfied as much by those engaged in performing sacrifices. I am simply surprised, therefore, with the fortunate position of Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yasoda, the cowherd men and gopis, because you, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, are existing here as their most intimate, lovable object. My dear Lord, no one can actually appreciate the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan. We are all demigods, controlling deities of the various senses of the living entities, and we are proud of enjoying such privileges. But actually there is no comparison between our position and the position of these fortunate residents of Vrindavan, because they are actually relishing your presence and enjoying your association by dint of their sensory activities. We may be proud of being controllers of the senses, but here the residents of Vrindavan are so transcendental, they are not under our control. Actually, they are enjoying their senses through service to you. I should therefore consider myself fortunate to be given a chance to take birth in this land of Vrindavan in any of my future lives. My dear Lord, I am therefore not interested in either material opulences or liberation. I am most humbly praying at your lotus feet for you to please give me any sort of birth within this Vrindavan forest, so that I may be able to be favored by the dust of the feet of some of the devotees of Vrindavan. If I am given the chance to grow as a humble blade of grass in this land, that would be a glorious birth for me. But if I am not so fortunate to take birth within the forest of Vrindavan, I beg to be allowed to take birth outside the immediate area of Vrindavan, so that when the devotees go out, they will walk over me. Even that would be a great fortune for me. I'm just aspiring for birth in which I will be smeared by the dust of the devotees' feet, because I can see that everyone here is simply full of Krishna consciousness. No one here knows anything but the lotus feet of Krishna or Mukunda, for which the Vedas themselves are searching. Dham ki jai. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that the purpose of Vedic knowledge is to find Krishna, and it is said in the Brahma Samhita that it is very difficult to find Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by systematic reading of the Vedic literature. But he is very easily available through the mercy of a pure devotee. The pure devotees of Vrindavan are fortunate because they can see Mukunda, Lord Krishna, all the time. This word Mukunda can be understood in two ways. Muk means liberation. Lord Krishna can give liberation and therefore transcendental bliss. The word also refers to his smiling face, which is just like the Kunda flower. Mukha means face. The Kunda flower is very beautiful and it appears to be smiling. Thus the comparison is made. The difference between the pure devotees of Vrindavan and devotees in other places is that the residents of Vrindavan have no other desire but to be associated with Krishna. Krishna, being very kind to his devotees, fulfills their desires because they always want Krishna's association. The Lord is always prepared to give it to them. The devotees of Vrindavan are also spontaneous lovers. They are not required to strictly follow regulative principles because they are already naturally developed in transcendental love for Krishna. Regulative principles are required for persons who have not achieved such a position of spontaneous love. Brahma is also a devotee of the Lord, but he is an ordinary devotee, subject to following regulative principles. He prays to Lord Krishna to give him the chance to take birth in Vrindavan, so that he might be elevated to the platform of spontaneous love. Lord Brahma continued, "My Lord, sometimes I am puzzled as to how your Lordship will be able to repay in gratitude the devotional service of these residents of Vrindavan. Although I know you are the supreme source of all benedictions, I am puzzled to know how you will be able to repay all the services that you are receiving from these residents of Vrindavan. I think of how you are so kind, magnanimous, that even Putana, who came to cheat you by dressing herself as a very affectionate mother, was awarded liberation and the actual post of a mother. That was awarded, she was awarded liberation. And other demons belonging to the same family, such as Aghasura, Bhakasura, were also favored with liberation and achieved you. Under the circumstances, I am puzzled. These residents of Vrindavan have given you everything, their bodies, their minds, their love, their homes, their possessions. Everything is being utilized for your purpose. So how will you be able to repay your debt to them? You have already given yourself to Putana. I surmise that you shall ever remain a debtor to the residents of Vrindavan, being unable to pay their loving service. My Lord, I can understand that a super excellent quality of the service rendered by the residents of Vrindavan is due to their spontaneously engaging all natural instincts in your loving service. It is said that attachment for material objects and home is due to illusion, which makes a living entity conditioned in the material world. But this is only the case for persons who are not Krishna conscious. In the case of the residents of Vrindavan, such obstructions as attachment to hearth and home are non-existent, because their attachment has been directed unto you, and their homes have been converted into temples by your constant presence there. And because they have forgotten everything for you, for your sake, there is no impediment. For a Krishna conscious person, there is no such thing as impediments due to attachment for hearth and home, nor is there illusion. Rama's surmise is right. Krishna says he cannot repay the love of his devotees in Vrindavan. I can also understand that your appearance as a small cowherd boy, a child of the cowherd man, is not at all a material activity. You are so much obliged by their affection that you are here to inspire them with more loving service by your transcendental presence. In Vrindavan, there is no distinction between material and spiritual, because everything is dedicated to your loving service. My dear Lord, your Vrindavan pastimes are simply to inspire your devotees. If someone takes your Vrindavan pastimes to be material, he will be misled. My dear Lord Krishna, those who deride you, claiming that you have a material body like an ordinary man, are described in the Bhagavad Gita as demoniac and less intelligent. You are always transcendental. The non-devotees are cheated because they considered you to be a material creation. Actually, you have assumed this body which exactly resembles that of an ordinary cowherd boy, simply to increase the devotion and transcendental bliss of your devotees. My dear Lord, I have nothing to say about people who advertise that they have already realized God, or that by their realization they have themselves become God. But as far as I am concerned, I admit frankly that for me it is not possible to realize you by my body, mind, or speech. What can I say about you? Or how can I realize you by my senses? I cannot even think of you perfectly with my mind, which is a master of the senses. Your qualities, your activities, and your body cannot be conceived of by any person within this material world. Only by your mercy can one understand to some extent what you are. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Lord of all creation. Although I sometimes falsely think that I am the master of this universe, I may be the master of this universe, but there are innumerable universes, and there are innumerable Brahmas who also preside over these universes. But actually, you are the master of them all. As the Super Soul in everyone's heart, you know everything. Please, therefore, accept me as your surrendered servant. I hope that you would excuse me for committing the great offense of disturbing you in your pastimes with your friends and calves. Now, if you will, kindly allow me. I will immediately leave so you can enjoy your friends and calves without my presence. Now Lord Brahma is feeling a little embarrassed after describing the Lord's position, describing all his opulences and his beautiful features and beautiful activities, qualities in Vrindavan. And he's offering all his eloquent prayers and Krishna's standing in his Chibangi form with his stick and his flute and some chipped rice and yogurt in his left hand, looking at this big man with 4 heads and 4 big helmets, as if to say, why is this man offering prayers to me? Like an innocent boy, like he doesn't know what's going on. So this is really bewildering Brahma, and he thinks I think I've just disturbed the Lord in his pastimes too long. He much prefers to be with his friends than to hear these eloquent prayers of truth of his personality. So I should leave as soon as possible. And yes. My dear Lord, your very name suggests that you are all attractive. The attraction of the sun and the moon are all due to you. By the attraction of the sun and the moon, by the attraction of the sun, you are beautifying the very existence of the Yadu dynasty. With the attraction of the moon, you are enhancing the potency of the land, the demigods, the brahmanas, the cows, and the oceans. Because of your supreme attraction, demons like Kamsa and others are annihilated. Therefore, it is my deliberate conclusion that you are the only worshipful deity within the creation. Accept my humble obeisances until the annihilation of this material world. As long as there is sunshine within this material world, kindly accept my humble obeisances. In this way, Brahma, the master of this universe, after offering humble and respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead and circumambulating him 3 times, was ready to turn to his abode, known as Brahmaloka. By his gesture, the Supreme Personality of Godhead gave him permission to return. But Krishna didn't even say anything to him. being ashamed of his audacity to interfere with the Lord's pastimes with his friends. Brahma was feeling so bad, so he requested the Lord that he wouldn't have such an elevated birth next time, so there would be no chance of him becoming proud again. So therefore he was allowed to enter into the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya as Srila Haridas Thakur. As soon as Brahma left, Lord Sri Krishna immediately returned to the bank of the Yamuna and rejoined his calves and cowherd boyfriends, who were situated just as they had been on the day they had vanished. Krishna had left his friends on the bank of the Yamuna while they were engaged in lunch, and although he returned exactly 1 year later, the cowherd boys thought that he had returned within a second. That is the way of Krishna's different energies act. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna himself is residing in everyone's heart, and he causes both remembrance and forgetfulness. All living entities are controlled by the supreme energy of the Lord, and sometimes they remember and sometimes they forget their constitutional position. His friends, being controlled in such a way, could not understand that for 1 whole year they were absent from the Yamuna's bank and were again under the spell of Brahma's illusion. When Krishna appeared before the boys, they thought, "Krishna has returned within a minute." They began to laugh, thinking that Krishna was not willing to leave their lunchtime company. They were very jubilant and invited him, "Dear friend Krishna, you have come back so quickly. All right, we have not yet begun our lunch, not even taken one morsel of food. So please come and join us and let us eat together." Krishna smiled and accepted their invitation and began to enjoy the lunchtime company of his friends. While eating, Krishna was thinking, "These boys believe that I have come back within a second, but they do not know that for the last year I have been involved with the mystic activities of Lord Brahma." After finishing their lunch, Krishna and his friends and calves began to return to their Brajabhumi homes. While passing, they enjoyed seeing the dead carcass of Aghasura in the shape of a gigantic serpent. When Krishna returned home to Brajabhumi, he was seen by all inhabitants of Vrindavan. He was wearing a peacock feather in his helmet, which was also decorated with forest flowers. Krishna was also garlanded with flowers and painted with different colored minerals collected from the caves of Govardhan Hill. Govardhan Hill is always famous for supplying natural red oxides, and Krishna and his friends painted their bodies with them. Each of them had a bugle made of buffalo horn and a stick and a flute, and each called his respective calves by their particular names. The cowherd boys were so proud of Krishna's wonderful activities that while entering into the village they all sang his glories. All the gopis of Vrindavan saw beautiful Krishna entering the village. The boys composed nice songs describing how they were saved from being swallowed by the great serpent and how the serpent was killed. Some described Krishna as the son of Yasoda and others as the son of Nanda Maharaj. He is so wonderful that he saved us from the clutches of the great serpent and killed him, they said. But little did they know that 1 year had passed since the killing of Aghasura. In this regard, Maharaj Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami how the inhabitants of Vrindavan suddenly developed so much love for Krishna, although Krishna was not a member of any of their families. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, "During the absence of the original cowherd boys, when Krishna entered and is attached to his body and self more than he is to relatives like wife, children and friends. If there is some immediate danger to one's own person, he first of all takes care of himself, then others. That is natural. That means he loves his own self more than anything else. The next important object of affection after his own self is his material body. A person who has no information of the spirit soul is very much attached to his material body, so much so that even in old age he wants to preserve the body in so many artificial ways, thinking that his old and broken body can be saved. Everyone is working hard day and night just to give pleasure to his own self, under either the bodily or spiritual concept of life. We are attached to material possessions because they give pleasure to the senses or to the body. The attachment to the body is therefore is there only because the I, spirit soul, is within the body. Similarly, when one is further advanced, he knows that the spirit soul is pleasing because it is part and parcel of Krishna. Ultimately, it is Krishna who is pleasing and all attractive. He is the super soul of everything, and in order to give us this information, Krishna descends and tells us that the all attractive center is He Himself. Without being an expansion of Krishna, nothing can be attractive. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. Because we are part of Krishna, and Krishna is all attractive, then the soul is all attractive. The soul is made of the same quality as Krishna, eternal, full of knowledge, full of bliss. But because we identify with the body, then we think it's the body becomes attractive. And so we try to satisfy the bodily demands through the senses. But for the spiritualists, then they can give up all these bodily attachments, these bodily pleasures, for the satisfaction of the self, satisfaction of the Atma. And they can renounce the world and sensual pleasure. And similarly, devotee can renounce the idea of spiritual happiness, spiritual oneness, when they actually become, when they understand their relationship with Krishna. Because Krishna is there's more happiness in Krishna, is a reservoir of pleasure, than in the soul, which is only 1/10,000th part. So therefore the devotees become attached to Krishna, the reservoir of pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is stated that a Mahabhagavat, or a highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all moving and non-moving living entities. Therefore he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna as everything, liberation is already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in devotional service of Krishna is already on the Brahma Bhuta or spiritual platform. The very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nescience. For him, this vast expansion of the material manifestation becomes as insignificant as the water in a calf's hoofprint. Krishna is the shelter of all great souls, and he is also the shelter of the material worlds. For one who is on the platform of Krishna consciousness, Vaikuntha, or the spiritual world, is not far away. He does not live within the material world, where there is danger at every step. In this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Sukadeva Goswami even recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him, are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets his spiritual desires fulfilled. Thus Krishna's childhood pastimes, his sporting with Balaram, and the cowherd boys in Vrindavan were described. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 14th chapter of Krishna, prayers offered by Lord Brahma and Lord Krishna. Okay, last sentence. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Bhagavan Sri Krishna ki, Gopal Krishna ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sai Go Premanandi, Hari Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much.